Greetings and welcome to Buddha Logic's Robotic Process Automation, What You Need to Know About RPA. Happy to have you guys here and to spend some time as we walk through what robot process automation is. Today we're going to cover some high level and a little bit of detail on what is involved with the perception of robot process automation, our vision as a company in implementing these processes, how they fit into the business world, the benefits, what they do well, the use cases, who should build robots inside your company around, the feature sets associated with some of the tools that are available, and what the integration points are and the trends of robot process automation are. And we also are going to give you a little bit of a roadmap to the successful implementations. We've been doing robot process automation now for a couple years. And I think we've come up with some really good standards and ways to approach how to make a project successful. Okay, perception. This is the concept of automating processes certainly leads to a nervousness about replacing people and shrinking jobs. And while some of that may be true, what really happens is robot process automation allows the employees you currently have to actually do the jobs they were hired to do. So there's not the robots coming to take over the world. What our vision is it's having an extra set of hands. So as an employee or a person tasked with doing a particular job, I may do a lot of keystrokes and access to systems that are repetitive and pretty much mind-numbing processes. And if I had a couple hands that could do those for me and take care of some of that day-to-day grind work, then now I can focus on what I was hired to do, which is maybe do some predictive analysis or do some analysis in general of what needs to be done based on some information that's been collected. The robot process engineering and robot process automation crosses all industries. There's really no specific market that they don't help or that they can't help. Everything from financial processes, which are very easy to automate typically, to hiring in HR. We also have done research robots. There's a way to collect data. There's a way to classify and clean and cleanse data. All of these tasks typically that require a number of people to go do repetitive tasks. We see this as being a global application as well. Not only does it cross departments within an entity, it can cross nationalities, it can cross nations. It's a very robust way to go grab and distribute and process information. Benefits of RPA, virtual workforce. One of the things that we often find is that companies that have trends and peak volumes typically hire a number of employees, and sometimes they're temporary in order to meet these peak volumes, and then they end up having to lay them off if those volumes start waning. So with RPA, you can build a digital workforce. I can increase the number of robots I have doing my work when our business is high, and I can easily shut them down when business is low. So the virtual workforce means they're available pretty much 24/7. And when the business is lean, I can turn them off until business picks up Um, the application itself and the solution that you can build using robot process automation can be designed, built, tested, and deployed in weeks instead of months, which is typically anytime you're automating a process, it requires a number of different departments to be coordinated, everything from the people who understand the process to the IT or internal information systems or technologies team to work with them. And then you have developers and testers. So there's often a very large number of people involved in any automation process, or the typical ones, where robot process automation is designed more for that end user who understands the process, and we can actually show them how to build, test, and deploy it. RPA also integrates seamlessly into any system that can be reached electronically. So, huge benefit. If I have legacy systems and siloed data and siloed databases, I can build robots that allow me to talk to that information, grab the interesting data and aggregate it and put it into a common structure that we can then feed into newer systems, or we can distribute to people that don't necessarily have access to some of these legacy systems in your environment. Probably the most important benefit that we've found over our years of working with this is the re-engineering that happens as you use the tool. It's a very powerful way to identify, okay, we have process X and here's how it works. Now, as a robot process engineer, I can sit back and say, wow, I can reduce 8 or 9 of these steps because the robot can go do that for me. And so what ends up happening is not only does the process get more efficient and you re-engineer it, the learning curve and the understanding of what process automation is becomes part of the culture, and the people building the robots start seeing other applications within departments and within their own department where robot process engineering and robot process automation can assist their work. What does RPA do well? Well, it does a lot of things well. One of the biggest benefits is anything that's repetitive, that doesn't need thinking, moving data from system A to B, repetitive tasks. Let's say daily I have to go look up on a website and go download a series of transactions every day. Moving, like I said before, data from point A to B. These are tasks that a robot can be designed and run on a periodic basis, on an ad hoc basis. You can make these processes available to anybody in your company, just like you would an application or an app on your phone. It also moves that data and presents that data 100% accurately. There is no transposition of keys. If the data, it takes the data that it finds and it puts it exactly the way it found it into wherever you're distributing to. So source data becomes target data, 100% accurate. One of the other things it does very well is you can build a number of ways to clean data. Data itself typically is it can be a source of what's the right way to put it? So data discrepancies happen all the time. Everything from humans making mistakes to data being copied incorrectly, etc. What the RPA does well is it allows you to design processes that'll let you clean your data. It'll identify discrepancies. It lets you talk to legacy systems. It allows you to look up and check and then provide the end user with this wonderful description of, okay, here's everything we found that doesn't match your rules. Very powerful tool. A good visual of this allows us to see all your different siloed information, and it can be hard drives, it can be databases, it can be enterprise applications, Excel spreadsheets. This data resides everywhere in an enterprise. And what the robot does is it allows you to take all that spider web of information, go talk to it, and retrieve information and bring it into a aggregated situation. And then you can distribute it the way you want. Again, the integration and the access to APIs is a very powerful part of robot process automation. Some of the best use cases, financial tasks, again, repetitive, non-thinking, calculations, spreadsheets, those types of things can be easily identified, processes can be built, and those tasks now become feeding the human who goes and makes a decision on it. Mailroom tasks, documents can be sorted and we'll look through in email boxes, and information can be distributed based on what the robot finds instead of a human having to do it. Automating research tasks, another huge thing. If your company is involved in providing services and you're keeping an eye on reviews, you can write robots to go out and search for information based on, hey, is there anything out on the web these days that relates to what we're doing? Maybe we need to be ahead of something if a trend is showing up. System integrations, so acquisitions and mergers. I can talk to any electronic system. If I can get to it with a electronically through a keyboard, if I can log in and start running queries, I can use robots to go retrieve information from any system I have access to and push it to any other system. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a flavor of what RPA does, what it does well, and really it comes down to, all right, let's say we're going to adopt robot process automation. Who's going to build this for me? And the tool sets that we use at this point in time are designed for the end users, for the people who own the process, manage the process, work the process. Some of those people could be department managers. They are the best designers and builders of robots. They know their processes inside and out. They know what the exceptions are. So now they can sit down using these tool sets, build a robot process. They can test it and make sure that it works end to end and deploy it with very little interaction to the typical IT departments and bringing management in. It's a very robust tool that allows you to handle your processes, clean them up, and produce them for other people to use. And we've found that by empowering those users, they're the ones that end up expressing how well it worked for them, as well as feeding other people within their organization and exciting them about what robot process automation can do. Some of the key features we've found in any of these tool sets that exist out there to allow you to build and author and produce these automated processes. It's got to have a graphical user interface, point and click. Steps are recorded. Very little coding needed to no coding needed. Server-based execution. In other words, I don't want to have a farm of virtual desktops running each of my robots. I want a server based so I can have multiple robots running at any point in time from one server, multiple servers. Um, Concurrent licensing. So if I have 35 production robots that need to run, I don't need 35 licenses. I might need a couple licenses, and the robots run and get queued up. So saving a little money in licensing, but concurrent licensing is a huge win that supports the server-based execution. Um, Interactive testing during the authoring. As a process owner and I'm building my robot, I want to be able to test and make sure that what I build is going to work when I push it out for other people to use. Document transformation, one of the key pieces to the robot and automation processes in general is now starting to consume other tool sets that are out there. One of them is being able to convert an image into some information like content or OCR, take that information, extract it, and do some intelligent processing of that document, whatever that looks like. And finally, what is the training that's involved in getting a robot process engineer, an author, to get up to speed and be able to produce robots quickly? We've found that 4 to 6 weeks is about the learning curve, and then they get you if you can find a tool set that supports that and has on-demand training as well as computer-based training, that's a very good tool set. Trends, what we're seeing now is, the whole idea of cognitive and document transformation integrations, as well as being able to talk to, retrieve information, as well as push information to artificial intelligence technologies, interacting with these engines, feeding these engines. Organizations are now becoming or adopting robot process automation as part of their platform. No longer is it just experimenting with one or two projects. They're starting to adopt, embrace it. Made a note here of the C-level management is starting to adopt, and 72% of them indicate that this is a process that they're embracing again and growing, becoming part of their platform, part of their everyday technology. It encourages process standardization. Again, I mentioned the whole re-engineering and the efficiency that comes with just implementing this. And then the whole concept of implementing, how do we go from our manual processes and actually transformation of that process into an automated process. And finally, let's take a step back one more time and say, how do we then, we have a tool set, we know who's going to build it. The tool set that we have encourages, a quick learning curve. Our management has adopted it and said, yes, let's go forward. Here's our five main points that when you want to be successful, you always start with the simplest task. Don't get a big project. Start small. Get those people who are building that process comfortable with it. Again, train the process owners to actually build and test that process. Coordination with IT is huge. IT no longer has the burden of learning and having to run it. They actually only have to watch it and make sure that it's behaving correctly. There's all sorts of information built into the robot that lets them know if the robot's having issues, and it allows the author to know that as well. As you introduce this culturally, which is a big piece, is that it's not here to replace you. It's here to take care of that day-to-day grunt work that you're used to having to do. And finally, you build acceptance, basically one robot at a time. because not only does the first robot out of the rabbit hole, so to speak, need to be very strong and dependable. Once you've done that, people start understanding that, oh, that robot helped me with, let's say, 2 hours of my day today. So that's 2 hours less that I'm spending doing some grunt work. And again, that's an education, and each robot that you introduce after that will build on that initial acceptance. Uh, I think that kind of takes us back to, our concept of what you need to know about RPA. We've discussed everything from the perception to the tool sets and a way to successfully implement a robot process. Thank you for your attendance today, and please contact us if you'd like a complimentary 60-minute deep dive into your entities, industries, challenges, and opportunities in potential automation processes.